Hey guys, it's Forest Standards here. Today I'll be giving you the review on Victorinox Swisschamp Victorinox Swiss Army knife. Let's just start with, this is a really nice knife, okay? It comes pretty sharp. Because the knife blade is stainless steel, it runs out of sharpness quite quickly, but it is a really nice knife. Just to start it off, I'm going to go through all the attachments through moderate detail and just show what it's like to use. First off, it's a nice size to hold actually. You'd think it would be a bit thick than normal knives, but it's actually quite a nice one to work with, like that. Right, so first attachment, the small blade. This comes really pretty sharp. This has actually run out of quite a lot of sharpness as I've used it. I have sharpened it, but it still stays quite, it gets blunt. So yeah, that's a small blade. It's good for cutting things like chopping fruits or cutting small branches, just things like this, and cutting through paper, and it's just good for things like that. And also on paper it can rub out ink and things that you've written on. Right, so that's a small knife. Next attachment, the bigger blade. This is pretty much the main tool of the knife. As I say again, it's nice to hold, to whittle up. On the blade here it says Officer Swiss in Swiss, because it's the Swiss officer's knife. Around the other side it says Victorinox stainless steel. Don't know if you can see that, but this is what proves it's authentic. Wow, this has run out of sharpness a lot, and I do use it quite a lot though, but this comes really sharp. It's not sharp anymore because I've used it a lot, but it is a good knife for just cutting down branches or doing all the stuff that you need basically for normal knives. And when you put it down to prove it's real, you'll hear this. It should snap down. Right, the next attachment is the metal saw and file. Don't know if you can see, but along the edge it is ever so slightly serrated. This actually does saw through metal the speed that a normal saw would saw through wood. It's quite fast, and you wouldn't believe it, but it does saw quite well. And it's a pretty vicious saw actually. It doesn't hurt on flesh, but on metal that thing files it down. It's also got just a nail file on the either side of it, so just kick off all the files. Next attachment is the proper wood saw. As you can see, I've used this and I need to clean it, but this is vicious, and I mean vicious. This ploughed through wood. See those blades? They were these are very sharp blades. I mean very sharp. These absolutely just, these are very sharp. I do not know how they, each one is so vicious. And I've used this loads and it hasn't run out of sharpness yet. So this thing is a very good tool, and I think Victorinox have done really well with this blade. Well, with any of their blades, it is just incredible. It's a really good saw to have. Yeah, so that's that. Next is the fish tool. Obviously on the top it's got the fish dehooker for taking the hook out of its mouth once you get it. Descaler, you rub it on the back of the fish and the scales will come off. And it's also got a tape measure in centimetres on this side and inches on this one. So yeah, that's the fish tool. Next up is the scissors. I love the Victorinox scissors. Here they are, automatically going. They cut really quite well. This piece of paper, they're really good and they do their job. They don't go blunt. They are brilliant, and I just love the feeling to just go. That is a really nice design. Looks quite cool actually out of the knife. But yeah, I think Victorinox have done really well with the scissors as well. They're brilliant. Next up is the pliers. These are pretty similar to the scissors to do. They're quite strong, but then compared to a normal multi-tool, they're obviously not the same. there's big things like this to the Victorinox one, but I think they've done quite well. It's easy to use, just have to do that. It automatically springs out, whereas this you've got to go all the way. But it's a nice pair of pliers, quite chunky, and that's probably the beefiest and biggest tool out of all the Victorinox. You can see the thickness there. So yeah, they're quite good. Next up is the magnifying glass. I love this lots. Don't know if you can see on my nail. Needs cleaning, but it really magnifies pretty well actually. You wouldn't expect it to for being plastic, but it's really good. I've lit a fair few fires with this as well. It is a powerful magnifying glass, believe it or not. It scratches a bit, don't know if you can see, there's a few scratches on here, but it is a brilliant magnifying glass and it really does work very well. Next up is the Phillips head screwdriver. This has two lock positions. It locks like this for just doing work like that, or you can lock it like this for just doing work sideways like this. Just a pretty average Phillips head. Next up is the can opener. This has got a very sharp edge, and this thing, God, the edge on this is very, very sharp. And this is good at opening cans. It takes a while to go all the way around, but this thing is sharp, and I mean sharp. And it's also on the top. It's got a small flathead screwdriver on it as well. Next up is the flathead. This has a wire stripper in it. It's just a conventional flathead, pretty much normal size, average size one. It has two lock positions, and it's also a bottle opener. So this is a pretty useful piece of metal, I'd say. And yeah, that's pretty much what there is to say on that. Next up is the Spectacles tiny flathead for repairing glasses or for watch screws, for tiny screws. This is a tiny flathead, and Victorinox have done well. This goes into bottle opener. It fits in and saves space. By the way, this is bottle opener, as you know, just a normal bottle opener, nothing different and special that Victorinox have done there. Not exactly push the boat out, but it does fit in, and that is what I like about this. In here, hidden, which is good, is this thing. Don't know if you can see that. That is a pin concealed in here. That is very useful. You can use it for a number of different things, but that is useful, that pin. Next up is the, I'll have to open this to get it out, chisel. This has a very sharp edge on one of the sides. Yeah, this side. This has a sharp edge, really quite good chisel. Because the knife's strong, you can probably push this into wood and it doesn't really damage the knife. Next up is a leather imprint thing, or it's the chisel, I get mixed up. It just looks a bit like a dolphin really, but yeah, or it could be a flathead, but that's that basically. It's a bit strange. Next is the pointless parcel hook. It also has two positions and you can put it anywhere between here and it doesn't lock, for carrying parcels or for undoing knots. Actually, I've found that quite useful. Next up is the sewing eye, and this is also for making holes in leather. Sewing eye, sharp edge for sewing fishing nets or things, I think, for repairing them. Here, just thing to hang on your keys, a key hook. Yeah, so they're all basically the inbuilt items. Here is the tweezers, Victorinox tweezers everyone loves. They're just the same as normal ones, except these ones have a plastic head to the top so it fits in. Next is the normal Victorinox toothpick, which is pretty much in every knife, and the pen. This is pressurized ballpoint. I don't know if it's refillable. Bit weird to write with. I think mine's running out actually, which is quite annoying, but it works, just a bit difficult to hold. So yeah, that's the Victorinox Swisschamp Swiss Army knife. It's a nice knife. It's about £50 usually, which, believe me, is a good price for this knife. It's got a load of tools on here. It's got about 38, I would say. It is really a good knife. It's got so many uses on it, all different things. You probably won't need to use all of them in the time you have it, but it's a really useful and good knife to have. It is the best knife I got, pretty much. It's really good, absolutely worth its money. You're going to use it pretty much for the rest of your life once you get it. In case, the one downside is, once you use the things that come off too much, then they will become loose, and you might lose them, and that is not nice. I haven't lost any yet, but so yeah, that's pretty much all the opening attachments out. All the detachable ones are still in it. But yeah, this is the knife. It's a nice one, and yeah, I would highly advise buying it. Actually, I recommend it because it's such a good knife. Just close. So I had all the attachments out back then. Just closing them again. They snap in, and sometimes that can get a little bit difficult to shut them all in. All the saws and the small knife. That is the Victorinox Swisschamp Swiss Army knife. Thank you from Forest Standards. Please subscribe.